All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages. What to do if your wife doesn't want to pray with you. So, and this could be prayer, this could be going to church, this could be studying scriptures. So, if you're in that situation where you want to do those things and your wife really doesn't, it can be hard. It can be tricky. It can be hard to know what to do. So, we're going to talk about how to approach that today in a way that's going to be stronger, more attractive than what you're doing now, which is probably either freaking out and trying to force her into it or backing off completely and just deciding not to do anything. So there is a middle ground. We're going to talk about what that is. My name is Mike Frazier, MD. I'm a psychiatrist and marriage coach. I help high-achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So some wins from guys in my program, the Strong Men, Strong Marriages program. Guys are scheduling weekend getaways, getting that special time with their wives. Super cool. Enjoying date nights together, having fun. Sharing deep secrets and getting support, exposing mistakes and failures that are hard to bring up. But guys are doing it, getting that support and creating real intimacy through it. Guys are laughing, they're having fun together with their wives. For me, my wife and I had a couples therapy session together this week, and I was able to hear my wife's goals for our marriage, which was just really cool to hear what she wanted to, be happy when I come home and to just really enjoy and love the rest of our lives together, which was great. Fun to hear that, and looking forward to continue to work on ways we can be that for each other. Had a great date night too, lots of fun last night. So, what you're doing right now as far as prayer in your marriage. Maybe you are praying together in your marriage right now. If you are, that's great. Although, you know, maybe it depends, right? If it's creating good, by the fruits, right? If you're praying together and it's creating connection and bonding, awesome, right? And it definitely can. When you're praying for your kids together, when you're praying for each other, it's a bonding thing. You're involving God in your lives, involving your God in your marriage. It's a great thing to be doing. Maybe you're freaking out that you're not. Okay, so maybe you've heard statistics or you've heard at church or somewhere that couples that pray together have a much lower divorce rate. I did a quick search on ChatGPT. It brought up, some common studies that like the divorce rate is less than 1% for couples that pray together. So you might think, oh boy, like if we're not praying together, we're getting divorced, right? I've taught guys like that, or if we're, if my wife's not reading scripture, our marriage is never going to make it. Or if we're not going to church together, our marriage is never going to make it. If you're in trouble in some way, if your wife doesn't want to do those, spiritual practices with you. And so usually when that happens, guys will try to press and force the issue out of fear, or they'll use the Bible to tell their wife, hey, like you're supposed to be praying with me, or you're supposed to be reading scripture. Or if you don't, here's what's going to happen to you, right? Or here's what's going to happen to our kids. It's an approach I see a lot that guys do. I've just never really seen it be effective. The reason why is, you're becoming anxious and fearful. And so that's not really attractive, right? You're like, come on, we got to do this. We got to do this together. Our kids are going to go to hell if we don't do this, right? And so you start becoming controlling. Okay, we got to do this. Sit down right now. We need to say our prayer together. We need to say scripture together. You got to get to church. Okay. And then a lot of times too, you become angry and you become resentful. You become mad. You're like, we gotta do this right now. We're resentful if people aren't doing it. That doesn't feel very good. It's not very attractive. So, and again, I've done this. Guys I've worked with have done this. Because, it's easy to think, no, like I'm right. We've got to pray together. We've got to do it. If we don't, we're in trouble. Something bad's going to happen, right? But there is something you can do. If your wife doesn't really want to pray right now, or your kids don't want to pray, or don't want to go to church, or whatever it is, right? Here's some things you can do instead. So pray yourself, right? So pray for your wife and kids. Access God's love for them. Ask for his wisdom. Hey, like my wife and kids don't really want to pray right now. Like, what are some things I can do? Help guide me. What are some things I can do to help them? But maybe even a better prayer than that is, hey, like, how can I be a great husband to my wife, even if she doesn't want to pray, or to my kids, even if they don't want to pray? What's going to be the way to do that, right? And just feel God's love for you, for them. Even just asking for that. Hey, help me feel your love for them. Okay. So praying for your wife and kids, praying yourself, building your own relationship with God, right? Enjoying your own prayer life, feeling like, man, I really feel supported through my prayer. I love it. I love that connection with God. I feel like I'm talking to him, have that conversational relationship. So when you're feeling that, okay, then you can come in and you can invite, right? There's nothing wrong with inviting your family to join you in things like prayer or going to church or scriptures, right? The other thing with scriptures in particular is kind of doing it in a way that makes sense for your family with your kids' ages, bringing in scriptures that have to do with stuff that's going on in their lives, right? I mean, it's a great compilation of wisdom literature, right? And so kind of just seeing, hey, like, there's stuff in here that can apply to my kids' lives and stories that can go with them. Okay, they're facing a big challenge. David and Goliath, right? Great story to tell. Just kind of pulling from different stories. And the more you know, the better you're able to share those stories. Your kids are in a fight. Okay, like, how can we, see the other person's side here? How can we find that balance, stand up for ourselves and respecting the other person, So, yeah, remember, God says, love our neighbor and love ourselves. How do we do this in this situation? And that's a great conversation to have with your kids and good learning moment. So, yeah, I mean, those are ways you can start involving it. Instead of making it this really formal thing, just making it kind of day-to-day moments. Hey, like, that reminds me of this story from the Bible. Or, hey, like, that reminds me of this scripture. And look how beautiful the things are around us that God made. Super cool, right? And so then when you say, man, like, praying really brings me a lot of peace, I'd love for you to pray with me and just see if you feel some peace too. Okay, that's much better than, we need to pray right now. Like, that's part of what we do in this family. Come here and do it right now. I used to operate a lot like that. And look, it works. Like, people, it works in the sense that your kids will probably come out of fear for a while. But then eventually they got to make their own decisions. And a lot of times they kind of shy away if you take that approach. But yeah, if you're just living that way and just connecting with God, inviting people to connect with God too, awesome. You're being a Christ-like person in that situation. Okay. So be the leader, right? If church is important to you, go. Invite people to come with you. If scripture is important to you, read them yourself. Sure, invite for a more formal thing if you want, or make it more informal, how it applies to their actual lives, which is really what the scriptures are written for anyway. Or church activities, if you want to go. You don't have to wait for everybody. But yeah, sure, go and invite people to come with you. Tell them how much it means to you and go with them. So probably the biggest thing is just get clear on why you're doing this stuff. Why are you praying? Why are you going to church? Why are you reading scriptures? What does it do for you, right? Get clear on your reasons why, and then share those reasons with your family. And that's why you want them to do it, okay? If it is just because, well, we have to do this or we're going to hell, right? Maybe that is why you're doing it. And it's like, you can share that, but I guess I would offer to you that, the point of Jesus' coming was to preach that the kingdom of heaven is here now, and our lives can be better right now. We're not just waiting for heaven to come and just like our lives are terrible until we die. The gospel, the good news is that we can have a better life right now. And so the more you can see that and live it yourself and bring that to your kids, okay, the more it's going to be accepted and welcomed, really. So yeah, get clear on your reasons why, and maybe see if you are more fear driven, see if you can move into, well, hey, can I do this because it's just a better way to live? Is it really better to be able to not get trapped by anger, but to love, want good for my enemies, right? Not to mean I get run over by my enemies, but that I want their good. Sometimes what's good for them will be for me to stand up for them, will be for me to call the police if they're doing something that they need to be arrested for, right? That's good for them because they need to have some consequences for their actions, right? To learn. So again, like, that makes your life better right now. I think too, that's a good measurement, right? Like, we're trying to bring heaven to earth. And if our lives don't seem heavenly, okay, probably something's a little bit off. Not that we're going to have trials, okay, but we can feel supported through those, right? We can feel a community around those. We can feel God supporting us through those things, okay? So, why this way works better, okay, is that you're building your relationship with God. You're feeling calmer. You're feeling more at peace, okay? So those emotions, they feel better. They're more attractive. People are drawn to people that are calm and peaceful and loving, right, and care about them. So your invitations are coming out of love or desire for your kids' good. Now, is it they're good if you're worried they're going to go to hell? Sure, right? You don't want your kids to go to hell and eternal suffering. That's true. But can you instead kind of shift that to, man, like, how can, like, I want their good now. I want them to have a great life now. How can this gospel help them have a better life right now? and really ask yourself that question, like, how will this make your life better right now? And try to guide or bringing the scriptures and prayer and that into it from that perspective. Not like, well, you better do this or you're going to hell, right? Instead, it's like, no, here's some scriptures that I think might help you right now. Oh, you're struggling with your test, you're worried about it. Hey, here's a cool scripture about having faith, right? And feeling calm and knowing God's got you, right? So I'm liking ChatGPT more and more these days. Even like, my kid's struggling with this. Like, what are some potential scriptures or scripture stories that might help him or her, and pull some stuff up, right? So the point is like trying to come from an approach of, hey, come follow me. Like, I'm living this life and I'm loving it. Like, it's good. I feel like I'm living heaven on earth. Come do this with me, right? Come follow me, Jesus' approach, versus you better follow me or you're in trouble, which people tend to rebel against more. You're more likely to get a yes if you're coming from that spot of, hey, my life is heavenly, come along with me, instead of, well, you're going to be in trouble when you die, so you better do this, right? So, but the point is, when you approach it this way, you win either way. Because if your life really feels heavenly, you already won, right? And then you can invite people with you, and it's great if they do it. But if they don't, you're still living a heavenly life anyway. Okay. So skills you need to do this. Okay, you need to build your own relationship with God. So doing that, however that is for you, scriptures, prayer, nature, service, those things that build your relationship with God. You need mental and emotional strength. You need to really be able to think, like, is my thought process on this, does it really make sense? Does it make sense for me to come from this place of saving them from hell versus trying to make their life better right now? You need emotional strength to be able to catch yourself and pay attention. Am I coming from a place of love, in other words, wanting good for them? Or am I coming from anxiety and fear, right? You need communication skills. How do I communicate to my kids and to my wife in a way that's going to be effective? You need intimacy skills. Intimacy, we're talking mainly mental and emotional intimacy right here to be able to do that. So we talk about this and we practice it in Strong Men, Strong Marriages. We're doing it too in our own lives and marriages, Coach Mimi and I, and helping you guys do it as well. So if this is interesting to you, if you want to build that relationship with God, build that relationship with your wife, build that relationship with your kids, have great relationships, have a heavenly life right now, visit strongmen.io and let's do it. Join the email list. If you're a guy that's making about $250,000 or more a year, come join our intensive group. We'll talk, you and I, and see if it's a good fit. If not, join our program at the end of the month. This month, it's going to open right now for the next few days, and we hope to see you there. All right, so stay strong in God, men. We'll see you next episode.